let's get started.
So there's been a lot of discussion about Rachel Maddow, who is, of course, MSNBC, by far their top-rated host, who has a very devoted following. And she went through contract negotiations. She basically was able to secure for herself the ability to step back from her primetime 9 p.m. show, where she has been for years and years, and move to more of a weekly role. In addition, we've seen over the past several weeks, she has actually taken a hiatus and had her chair filled by a range of hosts. Ali Velshi was one. Yeah. I think Eamon Moyledine filled in. Sometimes they had sort of a rotating cast of characters who sat in the chair. So there's been a lot of speculation about how exactly this is all going to shape out. It's obviously very important for MSNBC that basically doesn't have a single other host that actually drives ratings. She returned to her show and addressed the plans directly. So let's take a listen to what she had to say.
So here's the plan. I'm back. I'm going to be here all this month, Monday through Thursday nights. Now, for big news events, for things like the lead up to the election, I will, of course, be here more than that. But that is the general plan. I will be here this month, Monday through Thursday nights. And then starting next month, starting in May, I'm going to be here weekly. I'm going to be here on Monday nights, again, to give myself just more time to work on some of this other stuff that I've got cooking for MSNBC and NBC. So Monday to...
Does anybody believe that she sees the shit show? Oh, she sees the shit show that MSNBC has become. And she's trying to jump ship, but they're tossing too much money at her. And so she was saying, hey, this is the criteria where I would stay. But this is devastating news for MSNBC because they don't really have any other star. It was Chris Matthews. It was Rachel Maddow. Who else was there? Was there another person? Was that it? That might have been the two top people on the channel. And then you know what happened with Chris Matthews, and then Rachel Maddow is trying to get the hell out of there. The Propagandist. So yeah, let's continue.
Monday to Thursday nights this month. Starting next month, I will be here weekly.
Wow. It's hard to overstate what a dramatic shift in the cable news landscape this ultimately is. I mean, we talk about all the time, like putting their ideology and your feelings about these individuals aside. Basically, Tucker and Rachel are the only two people who really have this sort of like committed fan base where no matter where they are, no matter what time of day, they're going to show up for them. So for this to be the last month of Rachel doing her show Monday through Thursday and going to a weekly basis, this is a devastating situation for MSNBC. And just to put some numbers on it, we covered this before. While she was on leave, ratings dropped 26%, like that. Just 26% of the audience disappeared because it wasn't Rachel. She went to great lengths, by the way, and I think this was also very telling at the beginning, before that clip that we just showed, to say, Ali Velshi did an amazing job, and we're proud. We love him. He's great, and he's a wonderful colleague, and I'm so grateful to him, and here he is in Ukraine, and all of this stuff, which also made me wonder if he is the one that they ultimately have in mind for that slot. We had seen a report it might be Alex Wagner that they fill in there, but if they are looking in the direction of Ali Velshi, like, you already know how that went. It
doesn't do well.
Like 26% of your audience just poof, gone.
Right, and that's
so Ali Velshi filled in. I think he was the one who filled in the majority of time while she was gone, and ratings dipped 26%. And that's with them knowing she's coming back. That makes a difference. Because let's say they dip because they said, oh, she's gone forever. Oh, well, forget that channel. But why you wouldn't stay a week or however long it was she was gone to just keep up with the news? And that tells you something about the audience. Are you interested in news? Or are you interested in being convinced of a side? Like, you're like, hey, I'm on a blue team. Tell me what's up. Who are we mad at, and what are we doing today? instead of knowing, instead of learning about the team and then deciding if you want to join them. So, yeah, Rachel Maddow, a star. Well, sorry. Well, so is Larry the Cable Guy, a star. Technically, that is true. When and how my take on a star in their world. So in the world of propaganda, she's a top propagandist. She broke that shit down with Russiagate, like where people would use her videos to show. Like I bet I wasn't really on Twitter at that time, but I bet on Twitter people was using her videos to be like, look, Russiagate, for those who were kind of like protesting against it or not so much for it. Let's see what else they say here before we move to the next video here.
And that was with the expectation that she might come back. I mean, so Dylan Byers has a great piece in Puck News called the Rachel Maddow Iceberg over at NBC. And what he points to is they are paying her $30 million to basically produce some podcasts and then come on once a week. Now, to justify that, she has to bring in more than that in value. And maybe that is the case. I don't know. But he points to the real issue that an NBC management has had. They've had almost 200 days since that new contract was negotiated. And their whole idea is a 4th hour of MSNBC's Morning Joe. That was the brilliant plan. Right now, Joe Scarborough is the star.
But think about that. In their narrative, in the duopoly's narrative of red versus blue, the left channel, Fox News in their narrative is the right channel. CNN is supposed to be the centrist. MSNBC is supposed to be the left. Joe Scarborough, a Republican, is the star in that world of propagandists. Joe Scarborough. And I'm like, does anybody, and when this was happening, and I was still sort of, was I still watching it? No, this was after, but I had just stopped watching it. I'm like, does anybody notice the switcheroo that just happened on MSNBC? How they just switched in all these Republicans on the liberal channel? Who is the audience, really? Who is the audience? Just like the left doesn't have a place on the radio to go to, like a nationwide channel to go to, same exists here. Let's continue right here.
Of MSNBC, so much so he's got to be on the air for 4 straight hours because they have nobody else. Now, in terms of their bench, he points to the same thing. They don't have anybody they can realistically hire because there isn't really anybody else who is able to do that. You need to actually innovate within the format. They don't actually want that. And at the same time, they really are screwed. Like what they point to is he would probably be better off is not having news at 9 p.m. and just putting Shark Tank on MSNBC. That might actually be a realistic, might probably be better off for the country.
Well,
too.
back when I was at MSNBC, I don't think they still do this, but they would play that show Lockup.
Oh my God.
On the weekends, you know that show? It's like some trashy, like inside the prison kind of a show. They would play that on the weekends because they didn't have like a full weekend lineup, and it would outperform the,
I'm
news
sure.
channel
Yeah, of course.
easily.
Right.
That's sad.
Yeah,
That's
they're
sad.
in a real. I mean, it's impossible to succeed with the model.
All right. Thank you. Breaking points for that reporting. I think it's time to move on to the next story, or the next segment, I should say. But I guess less Rachel Maddow is a good thing. I guess you can look at it that way. Or that's how, I'm looking at it. I guess for the people who love her, I don't know what they're going to do without their daily dose of propaganda. I mean, how can anybody watch her with any believability, especially after the court case that was had, is just, it's beyond me.